Hey, gang. It's me. It's Shannon. It's another episode of Sheepless Needles, vegan podcast, not about being vegan, where we do all sorts of crazy things like talk about knitting, we talk about reading, we talk about bunnies and cats. None are pictured right now. And just all sorts of stuff. So if you are new here, put your seatbelt on and just get ready because I am usually off the rails and off topic at all times. And I appreciate you checking this out. Just hang in. I guarantee you'll have a laugh, a chuckle, maybe at my expense, maybe along with me. We'll see what happens. But hang out. And if you're returning, hi guys, it's me, it's Shannon. Thank you for being here, each and every one of you. I just want to quickly tell you guys how much I appreciate all the comments you leave and the messages I've gotten. I love each and every one of you and just thank you. So, you guys, let's start this episode out right because I've got a lot to talk about. So, today we are drinking. Is it in focus? I think so. Dogfish Punkin Ale. Listen, don't at me. My husband was like, why is there pumpkin beer and Warlock in the refrigerator right now? And I said, because it's pumpkin season. No, it's not. Dude, it's September, and in my books, that's when I can start pumpkining. Now, I do want to say something. I am not a pumpkin spice latte girl. I'm just not. Well, first of all, the Starbucks ones aren't vegan, so that would be numero uno. But even the vegan versions, you guys, I don't know what it is, but I'm just not down with it. I would much rather like do like an apple flavor or a cinnamon. I don't know what it is about pumpkin spice. I've tried. So the closest you're going to get to pumpkin spice. Now, I like a pumpkin beer though. That's what's weird. I just don't like it in my coffee. So in terms of being September, we are ushering in the season with a fresh hair color. Vampire Red, Manic Panic. Also Scalp, completely stained. That's okay. It'll come out. And I am wearing my turkey tail, which is a fall festive shawl. This was the Shawlography, the knit along, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later from last year. So Stephen West knit along. So let's crack open the beer. Yes. And this is going to be the best beer ever, and you're going to understand why in a moment. So anyway, glass. Just look at that fine fall color. Where have you been? All right, guys. Cheers. Happy place. Let me tell you why I'm in a happy place. You might be wondering, Shannon, you normally upload like every 2 weeks. Well, you're right. I normally do. And I would have, but the last time we were together, I don't know if you're going to remember this, so let's just do a little rewind back in the train up. I was a little bit hungover. I had gone out with my husband and my best friend, and I only had 2 drinks, and I couldn't figure out why I felt as hungover as I did. So, I shot the podcast, posted it, whatever, went to bed. Woke up the next day. I woke up in the morning. I was like, wow, I'm still not feeling right. And I came down because I work from home. So I work down here. I got on my office stuff and I was down for the count by 2:30 in the afternoon. Like I had to log out and I had to go upstairs and go to bed. I popped a fever, a fairly high fever. And I had a fever for 5 days. I did not leave my bedroom for, I think, 5 days. I certainly didn't eat anything for 5 days. And then I stayed in bed another 4 days, I think. I did pop positive for COVID. I am not quite sure where I got it from because I don't think I could have gone out one night and then 2 days later pop positive, but I guess that's possible. But Jenny didn't get it and Steve didn't get it. So I find it hard to believe that I picked it up when we went out, but you know, who knows? I guess it doesn't really matter where I got it, but this is the first time I've ever had it, and it sucked. It hit me like a freight train. It took me out. You can probably still hear in my voice that I'm not at 100%. So in the comments, I mean, if you feel like sharing, obviously health can be a very private thing and certainly you don't have to answer, but if you've had COVID, like what was your experience? Leave it in the comments. I made it through the entire thing up until, what was it, August 15th or 16th, and it just hit me. Not something I ever want to go through again. And I'm vaccinated and boosted, so I want to put that out there as well. But it is the first time I've had it. And my sister was telling me that typically the first time you get it is the worst. And I just thought, first time, there's not going to be another time. I'm not getting this shit again. But the result of that was I basically lost, we're on week 3, but I lost 2 weeks of absolutely everything. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't knit. I could do nothing. So I'm back. This is my first beer that I have had since I got sick. And it tastes so friggin' good. Go get you some. I usually buy a case of this every year, the Dogfish. And last year what I started doing is I'd buy a 6-pack of one. I started getting a smorgasbord, shall we say, of different types of pumpkin beers and fall beers. I don't know what I'm going to do this year. We'll see. I'm hoping that I don't get sick again for another, 10 years, because typically that's what happens. Every 10 years I get taken out. We got it out of the system. Hopefully I'll be able to go in public soon. I have not gone out at all. The only thing I've done is dyed my hair. So, which really I needed to do because I was just feeling nasty. So, and dyeing my hair, I always feel better. Like if I can't get my hair cut, but I dye my hair, it makes me feel a little bit more presentable, and I need a haircut horribly. So we'll get to that eventually. But here we are. So if you've had COVID and you feel like sharing your story, please do. So let's just talk. Let's talk about knitting. You guys, the last time we were together, I had taken a left turn from my open edge tee, and my sister and I just started knitting the shawl Smorgasbord by Stephen West. And I told her, I was like, I'm a little bit worried. We're cutting this really close. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. You'll know in a minute too. But let me grab where we are so far. So keep in mind, the bummer of this is that I lost 2 weeks of knitting, and that's okay. My hands could probably use a break, and my shoulder and stuff. And I have not worked out either. So that's another issue altogether. But she obviously is way ahead of me now, Catherine, my sister, because she had 2 weeks of knitting and I did not. And I don't know where I'm at on this, so I'm trying to find the right side versus the wrong side. All right, here we go. This is always a shit show when I try to show you guys my knitting, so I'm going to do my best here, but okay. All right, so at the very bottom is the cast on. And the last time we were together, I'm hoping you can hear me through this. I think you can. If you see the sage green basket weave, and if I can point it out, oh, jeezy Pete's. This is the sage green basket weave. That is where I was the last time, 3 weeks ago. Okay, so I finished the basket weave. I did a garter section. I did an eyelet section. I did the cross section. I don't know, this is another eyelet section, and this is a seed stitch. And I'm now doing another section. I think I'm on section 19 maybe. And I don't know how many sections there are, but I do know it's a repeat. I've got a ways to go. I've got a ways to go. And you can already see how big this is, right? So I'm really enjoying knitting on it. here's the one thing that I will tell you that I have discovered, and you probably are like, yeah, duh. You guys, seed stitch really hurts my hands. And I don't have like, I'm not white knuckling my needles or anything. Like I'm pretty loosey goosey, but my fingers just from the seed sticks, what? Just from the seed stitch section are like, I feel like I've done the Olympics. So I'm glad to be done with that section. I am not looking forward to the another section of basket weave because those have been not great, and not fault of pattern, fault of knitter. But this is a design, in case I did not say this from the get-go, this is Stephen West, and I am hoping to have this done before October 6th. And you might say, Shannon, why is October 6th? It's such a specific date. Well, kind viewer, every year, if you are not aware, Stephen West does a mystery knit along. It is announced in September and then it rolls out in October. So he announces it, it gives you like 4 to 6, you usually have 4 to 6 weeks to get your yarn and your notions and your needles, everything you need for the project together. And then on October 6th this year, 2022, is when the first clue will be released. The way this works, if you want to do it, and I highly suggest his mystery knit alongs to anyone because you will learn a new technique guaranteed. And it's just fun to see a sea of, like, if you go to the hashtags, a sea of this shawl in a cornucopia of colors. Like, it's just amazing to see what everyone does. And, you know, you may be faster than some knitters, you may be slower than some knitters. The goal, not the goal, but the knit along is a 4-week knit along. I'll tell you right off the bat, my ass has never completed a Stephen West shawl in 4 weeks. I may have done a dotted raise in 4 weeks, and I may have done a botanical shawl in 4 weeks, but none of the knit alongs have I ever gotten done on time. And I don't put that pressure on myself, especially if I'm learning a new technique. I would rather slow myself down, really understand what I'm doing, and enjoy what I'm doing instead of being stressed about what I'm doing. And as Stephen West always says, don't stress, just say yes. And so if you're interested in doing it, you can buy the pattern in 2 different places. You can get it on Ravelry, or you can go to Stephen West's website and purchase it there. I get mine through Ravelry. I have a hair impaling my eye, sorry. And I love that. And so what will happen is you can purchase it now, and it's either $6 or $7. I'm not really sure. What is happening? I've got something. Hang on, guys, sorry. Oh. Okay, so you can purchase it now. And if you purchase it now, when you open the pattern, it's going to tell you what you need. It'll give you your yarn specs, your gauge. It'll kind of give you a walkthrough of what a knit along is and how to prepare for it. It will not tell you what you're knitting. You are knitting a shawl, and it's called Twists and Turns this year. The notions that are needed, I think, are a cable needle, stitch markers, and obviously your normal needles. So, hey, hazard a guess here that I think there's going to be cabling on the shawl. But it's only a 3-color shawl at the same time. So that's a little different because the last 2 have been either 4, like this was, I think, 5-color. Slipstravaganza, I can't remember how many colors that was. It was either 4 or 5. Needless to say, you have from now until October 6th to get your yarn and your stuff together. And then if you've bought the pattern now, on October 6th, when you log into Ravelry, or even when you check your email, you'll get an email telling you the pattern's been updated. So that update is the drop of the first clue. And the clue it'll be written out, but there's also links to videos. So he'll walk you through everything you're doing. You're not going to know what you're doing, and you're not going to know what the end result is going to be, but you do it section by section. And it's such a fun way to knit a shawl, particularly if it is a new technique, because you won't be overwhelmed by knowing what you have in front of you, like down the road, like coming up. You're just dealing with the section that you're on. And I love that. So I highly recommend the knit alongs, but I also highly recommend not thinking that you're going to get it done by the end of October. Maybe you will. And kudos to you. But I would never suggest, if it's your first time out the door doing this, to give yourself that weird, this is my beginning, this is my end that I have to be done by. Let that go. Have a good time doing it. That's more important than getting it done by the end of October. There's no prize for getting it done. You know what I mean? Like the prize is you get a shawl. So does it really matter if it's done in October versus November or December? In my case, dudes, I'll have Steve put the date up. I can't even tell you when I cast this thing off. It took a lifetime. So this was last year's. I call it the turkey tail. This one cracks me up because, and I love Stephen West, so please, this is not a criticism, but every single person who I have followed, whether it's like Needles at the Ready, there's so many different podcasts out there for knitting, who do the knit-alongs. Literally every single one of them has been like, I learned a lot. I will not knit this one again, and I would not tell anyone else to. This was just a lot. Like visually, it's a lot. Color palette wise, it's a lot. And I don't think anybody really, this is one of those designs where I really think this is the thing. If you had seen the finished product, you probably never would have knit it. Hence a mystery knit along. But once you see the finished project, you're like, I probably would have picked a different color. So mine, this is Tencil yarn, fingering weight. It's from LeRoo cotton. I loved the yarn, you guys, but I've talked about the shawl before. It's got a little bit of everything in it. But, all right, so anyway, how I went off on that, see, again, off the rails, guys. I have no idea what I was talking about or why I was talking about it. But, so my sister and I are knitting the shawl Smorgasbord, which is not a mystery knit along. I think it was released as part of one of his workshops. I didn't purchase this particular workshop, but I just got the pattern. And when it is a 7-color shawl, it's a lot. Now, the issue is I do not want to be knitting this shawl and the mystery knit along at the same time. I will lose my shit. I will have a meltdown. So I'm going to try to bust this thing out. I'm hoping the 2 weeks that I lost does not impair me from finishing it before the beginning of the new knit along. And we shall see. So really quickly with the shawl that I'm knitting, I'm going to go over the yarns one more time, but I'll do it very quickly. Color A is a navy blue. This is by Hobbii. It's Hobbii Twister. It is, hang on, I'm going to have to grab some glasses because I cannot see ball bands right now. Okay, so sorry for the glare. This is 55% cotton, 45% acrylic, easy yarn to work with. Color B is this. It is Lindy chain from Knit Picks. It is obviously a fingering weight. It is 70% linen, 30% Pima cotton. I love this yarn. That's color B. Color C and color D are from Terrapin Fiberworks. This is her Chesapeake fingering base, 100% cotton. This is C, it's Heirloom potato. Oh, you guys, I think this is Rosemary, but I'm not sure, and I'm not going to pull the ball band. Needless to say, I love these two. So this is C and D. E is what I'm knitting with right now on the section. This is Violet. This is Lindy chain as well. And then F is Knit Picks Comfy Fingering Weight. This is the color Whisker. I don't remember the makeup of this yarn, sorry. And then F is Trailhead Yarns, Fundy Tides, Lace Weight, and I'm holding it double. Those are my colors that make up this. Da, 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 da. Hold on, let me grab the needles. There you go. Yarn just drove for freedom, but as you can see, I am using the Violet and the Whisker right now. I just started a section. So, all right, everybody send me good vibes that I get this shit done before October because I know that I cannot knit. I can't. My brain will collapse. And I really do need to finish that open edge tee, and that's not going to happen. I need to pick up my runaway yarn. that's not going to happen if I'm not done with this beast. So it is living, just so you know, in this really cute bag. I don't know if I showed this before, so I'll show it now, but I got this at Bun Fest in Columbus years and years and years ago. Look, it's a fuzzy, fuzzy bunny. It's a lion head and it's got carrots. Bunnies are awesome, you guys. Okay. So, and I'm very sorry, but out today is Harriet and Lebo. And Harriet, I don't know where she is. She's on the other side of the basement. Lebo's down here and he doesn't want to be on camera. So, you know, you get what you get. What's going on with my hair? Sorry. Okay. So you guys, that's the knitting that I've gotten done, which for being sick for 2 weeks and picking it back up and finishing that in a week, I'm happy with that. I'm not, you know, I'm not mad about it. So, and I am excited about the knit along. I will admit that I scored a Stephen West kit 10 o'clock on yesterday morning. And for the first time that I know of, now please correct me in the comments if I am incorrect, but for the first time that I have ever noticed, Stephen and Penelope offered plant-based yarn kit. So there were, I think, 5 or 6 colorways, and I cannot remember the name of the yarn company. It starts with an I. It is not a plant-based company. It is a wool company, but they have a linen cotton blend, and I think it's heavier on cotton than linen. So I think it's actually the opposite of the Lindy chain. It's probably a 70 cotton, 30 linen, something in there. I'll let you know. It's called Bomulin, I think. Anyway, when I get that kit in, I will show it then. There's no point in me telling you what it is until I get it. But with the kit, you get a project bag. I think you get a needle gauge. You get a label for your shawl and a sticker, you know. Anyway, it's the first time I've ever bought a kit because it's the first time there's ever been a non-animal fiber kit available. So I am over the moon that he offered it. He obviously does not use the word vegan in relationship to it at all. And in fact, doesn't even call it plant-based. He called it, what do you call it? Kits for warmer climate knitting, which, listen, if that's how we want to phrase it to not piss off wool users, I'm on board. If more people would try like a cotton blend to just understand why they're so wonderful, maybe they would shut up about like vegans not using wool. I don't know. I'm just putting that out there. So I am very thankful. So thank you, Mr. West. I bought one of your kits. I can't wait to get it. You're never going to watch this, but I love you. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So let's, okay, let's move on. We don't need this to be the Stephen West episode because every episode ends up being that. Oh, too funny. Okay, so along with my knitting, I got some things in the mail. I would like to share those with you. Very minor amount. The first thing that I have to show you is, this is my Terrapin Fiberworks. Oh, good God, every time. Farmers Market Club, maybe? Hang on. Hold on. Oh. Farmers Market. There we go. Oh, you guys put me out of my misery. Okay, so in this month, I decided, because I've been getting her Chesapeake and Potomac bases. Chesapeake is cotton, Potomac is linen and cotton. And this time I decided to try her Tencil, but in a DK weight. So get ready, because these are crazy. What's this one called? All right, the first one is called Fairy Tale Eggplant. It is DK, it's 100% Tencel, so there's 246 yards in this, and I am stuck. Hold on a moment, there we go. Now, the purple is not reading as purple as there we go. So it has the shine that Tencel has to it. I have never knit with a DK weight of Tencil, so I'm very excited to throw this probably into a shawl of sorts. Or maybe color work. I don't know. We'll see. This is the second one. You guys, hello. What is this green and how is it so beautiful? It is called basil or basil, depending on what side of the pond you're on. Oh, I'm sorry. Her Tencil base, just so you know, is called Severn. Severn, Severn. But you guys, holy chicha, this is a beautiful. So here they are together. I don't think I would knit them together, but you know, you do you. Also in the kit, I got basil seeds and okay, this is the tricky part, is showing you stitch markers because I always have trouble with this. Okay, here we go. Will you be in focus? Nope. Okay. Nope. 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 There we go. So there's an eggplant on the left, and then there's a potted basil plant. How cute! So every month you can get the club with notions or without. So you can do the club box or just yarn. And this one, it says $1 per skein is donated to Heal Food Alliance, a coalition which builds collective power to transform our food and farm system. Learn more at healfoodalliance.org. I don't know anything about that organization. I will look it up. I am a fan of the Food Empowerment Project because it's run by vegans. I don't know anything about this one, so we will find out. All right, so that was my yarn that I received. And then, okay, you might be asking, Shannon, you know, when you get your kit for the mystery knit along, what are you putting it in? Are you really going to use the kind of like small bag that comes with the kit? No. You would be right that no, I will not be. And what I will be putting it in, what is the fucking deal with my hair? Okay, you need to gird your loins and get ready because this is, okay. There is a non-vegan podcast that I watch called The Fat Squirrel Speaks. It is a wonderful woman in Indiana, and I think she might have lived in Ohio for a while, or she lives close enough to Ohio. I completely identify with her. She's a ginger. I am a natural ginger as well. She is quirky. She is funny, and she's very talented. And she does make project bags and notions bags. And she's a sewist, she's a knitter, she's a quilter. I mean, like, she just uber talented. And I will link her podcast. Just note that she's not vegan. It's not vegan. I just really enjoy her. And when I find somebody who I feel like is a kindred spirit, I like to support what they're doing. And even if they're not vegan, that isn't important to me. It's more important that I support a fellow artist or a creator or just somebody on this planet who makes me smile, because you can't buy that, right? So anyway, oh, this is going to be my favorite bag of all time. Now, we know that my body, my choice. The man will not be telling me what to do, period, and should not be telling any of us what to do. So in that spirit, this is the Fuck You Uterus bag. You guys, are you kidding me? First of all, and look at the cute zipper. She is such a great sewist. It's really well made. It comes with a little handle too that you can use in a sachet. You don't have to get the sachet. You can tell her not to put it in. This will fit. This is the sweater. Let me open. Okay, so this will fit for sure the shawl, the mystery knit along. So my mystery knit along is going to go in the Angry Uterus bag from Fat Squirrel Speaks. I will leave a link for the knit along stuff and for Fat Squirrel, because no, there's just nothing better than that. There's just not. Fight me, at me. You let me know. Beer, you guys. This beer tastes so good, I can't even tell you. Okay, so that's what I got in the mail. I think next podcast, I've got a lot of stuff. I've ordered a lot. So the next podcast is going to be a little bit heavy on like, Shannon, you need to lock your credit card up away from you. Maybe put it in an ice cube in your freezer. I don't know. But that's okay. It is time, kind viewers, for... I'm hearing someone, but I'm not seeing someone. A little segment I like to call Literature for Your Knitature. So, I finished up the Robin Hobb series, the Assassin's Farseer Trilogy. Thank you. That's what I was trying to come up with. Now, I watch a lot of YouTube. I don't really watch TV shows, but I watch a lot of YouTube. And I do enjoy the occasional book review, so there's a couple different podcasts of like fantasy review people that I watch. I will link the ones that I remember in the show notes in case you're one of those people who likes to watch reviews of books as well. Mine would be fantasy oriented or horror oriented. I don't really watch any other type of book reviews. So if you're looking for like romance or like history or nonfiction, those are not going to be for you. But there is a trilogy or a series that every single frigging reviewer that I watch recommends. And it's kind of like Breaking Bad. When Breaking Bad came out and everyone was like, you got to watch Breaking Bad. So too much hype. And I couldn't watch it because I was so annoyed by all the people. I was like, you got to shut up or I'm never going to friggin' watch it. 2 years later, after the series started, I started watching Breaking Bad and then I couldn't stop. It was probably my favorite series on TV that I can think of in the past 15 years, for sure. If you have not watched Breaking Bad, highly recommend. If you are a recovering meth addict, I probably would not recommend, but maybe not. Okay, so anyway, I have never read anything from this author. So when I bring this up, if you have read anything from this author, put it in the comments. Let me know what you think. I am very concerned that this is not going to live up to the hype. I just am, because there's a lot of hype. So it is, get ready, the Mistborn Trilogy by Brandon Sanderson. He is pretty prolific. He has written a lot. And I learned on one of the podcasts I was listening to that he actually finished The Wheel of Time for, why can't I remember the author? Is it Jordan? Steve, Wheel of Time in the area. Again, I've never read anything from Brandon Sanderson, but everybody is like, Mistborn Trilogy, you have to start there. It's so awesome. Well, the problem is this guy has so many friggin' books. I didn't know where to start. So I'm starting here. So the first book, I don't even think I can get it out. There we go. The first book is just called Mistborn. And here, I'll just read you the back of it. And if you would like to join me in reading this, please do. It is once a hero arose to save the world. He failed. Ever since, the world has been a wasteland of ash and mist controlled by the immortal emperor known as the Lord Ruler. But hope survives. A new uprising is forming, one built around the ultimate caper, the cunning of a brilliant criminal mastermind, and the determination of an unlikely heroine, a street urchin who must learn to master the power of a Mistborn. All right, so I'm going to give this trilogy a go. I will let you know. You have any opinions, you let me know in the comments. This is going to start I might start this tonight. And the reason why I'm going to start it tonight is the other thing I'm reading right now is the Dragonlance series. So I am reading the second book, and I'll have Steve put it up here because now I think it's Autumn. I can't even remember what it's called, but it's a 300-page book and it's split up into sections. And I always read before I go to bed for like an hour or so. And so last night when I finished my chapter, I got to book 2. I was like, oh, that's a good like break point where if I want to pick up another book, I can. I have a little bit of an issue trying to read 2 different fantasy series at the same time because my head gets really confused. But I think these are going to be different enough because Dragonlance is literally like D&D trope. Like, I think I should be okay. We'll find out. So I'm going to start the Sanderson tonight. You're going to have to let me know if you've read it, if I just need not to read it, but everyone seems to just love him. Now, the other issue is I have an addiction to Kickstarter. And Mr. Sanderson had a Kickstarter that, yes, I did support, where he is going to be putting out 4 mystery books across the span of either 1 or 2 years. I can't even remember what the span of time is. I only did the PDF version, so it wasn't a lot of money because I was like, I don't even know if I like his writing because I still have not read anything by him. So, but I wanted to support it because I like to see writing and that type of creative thing being kickstarted. I think writing and like, you know, just arts in general, I will support. So we're going to hope I like him. Okay. The other part of literature for your knitature is I want to talk about Dungeons of Dragonheim. Drakenheim. That's a K, not a G. Okay, there is a duo out of Canada called the Dungeon Dudes. If you play D&D and you have never watched their podcast, I highly recommend them. They do tutorials on how to build characters. They talk about like classes. They talk about building, like they just all like DM tutorials, player tutorials. Just they're really wonderful. And they also have their own campaign that they stream called Dungeons of Dragonheim. Now, the first campaign completed, they picked up a second campaign in the same world. And I am somewhere watching that, but I don't know where I am. I'm way behind. But anyway, they have done 2 Kickstarters. One is active right now, and one is long finished. The one that is long finished was a release of a campaign book and world guide for their original stream. And I do want to answer a question that was asked. I got a great comment on the last video about, you know, talking about board game suggestions or game suggestions and what was the difference between, like, what does a campaign mean? And I am probably going to butcher this explanation, but I'm going to give it a go. When you play Dungeons and Dragons, there are so many different systems that you can play. And by systems, I mean like worlds that you can play in. So Dungeons and Dragons, at its core, is a creative, cooperative game that you play with a group of people where you have characters that you build, that you drop into a world, that one member of your group, who's called the Dungeon Master or the Game Master, will guide you through an adventure using the characters or heroes that you have come to the table with. As you progress through the adventure, your characters grow, they learn more, they level up. And the decisions that your characters make via just decision making or by rolls of a dice or die will catapult the in whatever direction it's going to go in. So it's kind of like choose your own adventure, but just in real time, I guess is what I would, real time is probably not even the right way to say that, but it's a wonderful way to story tell. And there are so many different worlds that you can play in, meaning that if you are someone who likes high fantasy, Dungeons and Dragons, like Wizard of the Coasts, that is your home base. If you are someone who likes sci-fi, like you like space and you know, you want to do something in outer space, something like The Expanse, which was I think it was a tabletop game before it was a TV show. I don't even know. Needless to say, takes place in space. Maybe you like the world of like Alien, like Sigourney Weaver. There's an RPG to play in that world where you could be, you know, one of her team, whatever it is. You name a world, My Pretty Pony, there's an RPG. You know, Scooby-Doo, there's an RPG. So like there are role-playing games beyond just Dungeons and Dragons. That's number one. So you're not going to be shooed into like, I don't like dragons, I don't like dungeons. That's fine. There's so many other world systems that you can play in. So a campaign is when, I guess we should start here. There are one-shots, and one-shots are a really great way to get your feet wet with role-playing to see if you like the world that you're in. And a one-shot is exactly what it sounds like. It's meant to be played in one shot, meaning like, let's say you have a group of friends and you're just getting together for someone's birthday, and for the birthday present, you know, they wanted to play D&D. So you would find a one-shot. You could, you know, you can buy them, you can download them, whatever it is. It's meant to be played in one sitting, start to finish. That's it. A campaign is not meant to be played in one shot. A campaign is a long-term storytelling that will take place over many gaming sessions. When you play a campaign, you know, you typically, if you're new to D&D, you would start at a level 1 character, and your campaign that you're playing may take you to level 5. And then you continue, and you can continue leveling up. You just take that character with you. So a campaign is an ongoing cooperative storytelling game with your friends that will take longer, as long as you want, but certainly more than one session. The thing I like about campaigns is that when you build a character from the ground up and you watch that character grow through cooperative storytelling, it's just really satisfying to watch that growth and experience the decision-making, the problem-solving, where you don't want to leave that character behind. And the beauty of playing campaigns is you don't leave that character behind. You keep progressing that character forward. So you could be playing the same character in a campaign for over a year, you know. Hopefully you don't get taken out by a big bad villain, but you know, I'm just saying. So that is a campaign. A campaign is more than one gaming session. It is a commitment of time, of spirit, of heart, and I highly recommend it. So anyway, back to Dungeons of Drakkenheim. They had a campaign that they ran, and I don't even know how long the campaign ran for, but it was a really cool world. And the premise of the world is essentially that a meteor strikes a city and decimates it. And years and years later, adventuring parties are trying to go into the city, you know, to loot things for whatever reason. Maybe they have a family member that got left behind. They want to see if they're still there, or they've been hired by, you know, some group to go get some loot from someplace. But when the meteor struck, there was a substance or something left behind called delirium, which has really catastrophic effects, holy moly, effects on the environment and any creature or person that is exposed to it. So the campaign that Dungeon Dudes ran had 3 party members, adventurers, who banded together to go into the city. They were trying to figure out like what was up with the delirium, why was it there, why was it having the effect it was having. One of the members, Veo, her father had disappeared and she didn't know where he was, and she was trying to get back to find him. Another character was from a different land called Caspia, and it was a little bit of like divide and conquer, like I'm going to go in and check this place out. And then there was Sebastian Crow, who I loved. But anyway, so their campaign lasted over a year, I think. And it was just their adventures of going in and out of this horrible city and the hijinks that ensued and all of that. So it was a really great world to kind of look at, because not only did you have the mystery of like this meteor striking, the delirium and the effects it was having on people, but you also had political intrigue, because what essentially ended up happening is that different groups really tried to stake claim to areas in Drakenheim. So there was a magic academy that was trying to get the delirium to make magical weapons. There's like a military, group that was just trying to keep things in order. There was a thievery group, which I can't remember the name of right now, but it was like the Queen of Thieves ran it. And obviously they were up to all sorts of like looting and trying to get shit done. And I don't know, there was just, and so when the adventuring party would go into the city, they really had to kind of like maneuver through these different groups and like bust deals with different groups to get what they needed to get. So there was a lot of like strategery in terms of the adventure. So you had the D&D aspect of like, there's going to be crazy creatures because of the delirium that are going to like, you're going to have to fight, but you also had political intrigue. So it was a really well-rounded campaign. They did a Kickstarter for the campaign world so that if you wanted to play a game in Drakenheim, you could. I backed that campaign immediately because I was like, you know what, this is such a wonderful world to just, even if I don't play a campaign, just to read about it. So I want to show you that Kickstarter thing that I got. So this is, oh, it's she heavy. Okay. Oh. All right, here it is. Dungeons of Drakenheim. Oh. It hurt me. Okay, so it comes in this great box. I forget what level I pledged at, but it was, let's just not even get into it. Okay, so, Shawlography, come on. Okay. It came with, dice, hang on. Now, delirium was purple, just so you know. So it came with, I don't know if I can show these in a way that you're going to see it. Oh my God, that was one in my beer. Okay, so it came with delirium dice. Oh my God, I'm just making all sorts of noise over here. So let me put those back. Because, this girl can't have too many die in her collection. Okay. And then it comes with, and I'm not going to take this out because it's going to be, this is a fabric map of the city. Oh, my nose. Okay. It came with, all right, so it comes with these decks, and I'll explain how you use decks in a minute, but it comes with the Magic of Drakenheim card deck, random encounters. So if you're a DM, you can just pull out a card and you'll have a random encounter. And then it comes with Eldritch Contamination. So that when you are exposed with delirium and you become contaminated with it, you take, I don't know if it's a D100 or what it is, but you roll, and whatever number you get, there's a table and it will tell you what will happen to you. Like it could be like you lose all your hair, you have bionic smell, whatever it is. So that's always fun. All right, so then it also comes with pens for the political factions that I was telling you about earlier. So the political factions are the Hooded Lanterns, the Amethyst Academy, Followers of the Falling Fire, Knights of the Silver Order, and the Queen's Men's Outlaws. That's the Thieves Guild. Which I don't wear pens, but I'll figure that out. There is also a huge tactical map set. So when you play Dungeons and Dragons, if you've never played before, when you're in person and you're playing around a table and you're exploring an area, it's really helpful to have like a gridded map on the table where you can put like a miniature that represents your character of what you're exploring. So these are maps that are already, let's see if I can show you one of them, that are already ready to go. Oof. Okay, I have not even looked at these yet. So these are pretty. Oh, this is huge. Holy shnikes, you guys. I don't know what map this is. It is double-sided. I can't see the camera at all. Hopefully you can see this. Here's the flip side. So anyway, tactical maps, this is a whole case of them. So that when you look at the campaign book, it will set out different encounters and it'll tell you what map to use. And this, look, it's chock full of maps. I love it. I love a good map. Okay, so that's the map set. Oh my gosh, I'm just itchy. I don't know what's going on. I need more beer. That's what's going on. More importantly, it comes with a dungeon screen, like a dungeon master screen. And this, you know, you set up on your table. So this side faces the players, right? And then, whoa, oh, sorry, bad glare. On the flip side, there are all these tables that would be useful to the dungeon master running the game. So in this case, it gives you the main cast of characters or NPCs that you're probably going to run into while you're playing. It gives you rules for urban exploration and ruins exploration. Oh my gosh. Okay. It is all right. So the mutations that are caused by the delirium, it's a D20. There are 20 different things that can happen to you. So let's say like you and your adventuring party are going in and you're trying to loot this house. There's like treasure in the basement and somebody from a city, another city has hired you to go get this for them. And you get exposed, you roll your D20 and let's say you roll a 16. Spider climb. You gain climb speed equal to your walking speed. You can climb difficult surfaces, including upside down on ceilings, without needing to make an ability check. So that's a positive one. Oh, okay. Let's say you roll an 11. Amorphous form. Your bones and organs become gelatinous. You can move through a space as narrow as 6 inches wide without squeezing. So again, all sorts of fun things that the dungeon master needs to run the game. But then, golly, what is I'm losing my Shawlography. Hold on, hold the line. Huh. Okay, here is the actual campaign book. I don't know if I can get in there without a really bad glare. Okay, so it has, when you open it, a map of the city. And it gives you a great table of contents. It gives you an introduction to the city, a campaign overview. I'm going to read you just a little bit of the overview so that you understand what it is. Dungeons of Drakkenheim is a fantastic adventure set in a Gothic Renaissance ruined city. The campaign is designed with 4 players in mind, so just accordingly for smaller or larger groups. You can play Drakkenheim in a series of loosely connected exploration quests or an unpredictable narrative filled with a faction conflict. The material herein will challenge characters from level 1 to 13. Meaning that if you use this book, you can start with a level 1 character, and by the time you're done with it, your character could be maxed out at level 13. And let me just tell you, I don't think I've had a character go past 12, so that's pretty cool. You do need to have a copy of 5e rules or standard basic rules. This is not a rule book. This is literally a setting that you're playing the game in. So you'll need a copy of the core rules for 5th edition to properly run this adventure. When reading this book, text in bold usually references a creature or a non-player stat block, while text in italics indicates spells or magic items. So it's like any other standard campaign book. Just really cool. It does have character creation. So you would want your players to be able to look at part of this book as well. It gives you a whole chapter on how to run the campaign, how to handle character advancement, deadly challenges, character death. It gives you an overview. Okay, so it has a flow chart, which I'm not going to zoom in on for the DM, that starts you through first level all the way to 12th, showing you kind of the flow chart of the adventure. It gives you the origins of the meteor. There's so many different, how to run the political factions, and there's a whole section on all the factions. So if you're a political intrigue, this is right up your alley. All right, so, and then there's adventures. And how fun is that? So let me get to a crazy creature. Hang on. There we go. Okay. I just flipped to Lord of the Feast. And I'll see if Steve can put a screenshot, because I don't know. Can you see that? Look at that big bad. Okay. This horrific albino Garmer stands well over 12 feet tall. He's huge. He is covered in a mass of yellowish, white, mangy fur, blood-stained and scarred from the countless battles, and clad in a patchwork armor of leather, chain, and bladed plate with trophies. Mummified heads hang from his belt. A mane of bony spines and tufts of barbed gray hair jut out from his head and down his back to a long white tail braided with skulls and bone fragments. His snarling visage is filled with long, razor-sharp fangs and smoldering red eyes. The Lord of the Feast holds an oversized longbow strung with thick sinew. A quiver on his back holds enormous arrows, some bristling with barbed snares, other connected to coils of chains around the beast's wrists, while others are tipped with delirium shards. So the Lord of the Feast is a large monstrosity, which 12 feet tall, I would say so. Chaotic evil. That's never good. His armor class is 18. He has 228 hit points, and his speed is 30 feet per move. Let's see what he does. He has a multi-attack. He can make 3 attacks, either one of each of its different arrow attacks, or 1 with his bite and 2 with his claws. So you're either using your bow or you're using like melee when you play him. So his bite attack is a +9 to hit. Its reach is 5 feet. Oh, good Lord. 2d10 plus 4 piercing damage plus 18 plus 4d8 necrotic damage. A target hit by this attack must succeed a DC 17 Constitution saving throw, or they become contaminated. That's where that table comes into hand. His claw attack is a +9 to hit, 10-foot reach, and it's a 2d6 plus 4 slashing. Okay, so one of his legendary actions is the Lord of the Feast releases a blood-curdling howl, which can be heard all across Dragonheim. Garmer within 60 feet, who can see or hear the Lord of the Feast, can use their reaction to move up half their speed or make 1 melee or ranged attack with advantage. You don't want to run into that, dude. So, this book will guide you through the city, and there's a multitude of adventures that you can take a party through as the dungeon master. This book will help your players build their character. It will help them immensely, but you just don't want them to read the adventure side of the book, which is for the person running the game, because you don't want to spoil any surprises. So that is Dungeons of Drakenheim. I Again, I don't know if I'm going to get to play it or get to run it or whatnot, but I love the world. And they have launched a second Kickstarter, which I did support, which is, it's the Sebastian Crow like guide to Drakkenheim, I think is what it's called. I will leave a link in the show notes for that. Oh, the other thing that came with it was a plushie. You guys, I'm not a plushie person, but this is the Rat King. And one of the things that I really loved when I started watching the Dungeon Dudes was just how how fun they were and how much, I don't know. Anyway, the Rat King is a character that Monty, the dungeon master, always, like, when the Rat King talks, he always says something, yes, yes, yes. I love him. So anyway, he sits up in my room upstairs where my bookcases and all my D&D stuff are. He sits on top of one of the bookcases. Look at his little butt. He's got a little bag. Oh my God, I love him. Okay, so anyway, that was that Kickstarter. It also came with miniatures, which I have not painted yet, so they're just sitting in a box. That would be boring to look at. But, so that, I mean, I don't even know how long. That would take at least probably a year to run the book. But I don't know. We'll see what we have in store for D&D for my future. I just don't know what that is right now. The other part of that comment was about board games. And I originally, last week, I tried to film, and I filmed like behind me in this closet here. Those are where our board games are. And one, I sounded so sick when I watched the playback. My eyes started watering because I was like, oh my God, I can't subject anyone to that. But what I discovered by the end of filming was that I couldn't really recommend games because, one, a lot of the games that I play are huge commitments and you really need to get your feet wet before I would say go buy it because it's a lot of money. And two, I don't know if some of the games that I would recommend would be in print anymore. So at the end of it, I can tell you what I came up with. And now I can't remember the name of one of the, oh, okay, I do. All right, so one game was Apples to Apples. It would be a party game for a larger group of people. If you have never played it, it's kind of like an association game where people need to guess stuff. Anyway, it's a lot of fun. It's a party game. Highly recommend. I think you can pick it up at Target. Go online, read some reviews. It's just a fun game to play with a group of people. The other one was a game called Mind Trap, and I don't know if it's still in print, but it is like a riddle game where you have to solve riddles and like scenarios. It is so much fun. I even got Mind Trap 2 because we liked the first one so well. So those were two games that I would recommend. And then the other games that I have, you know, I've got like Life, Monopoly, Clue. I've got all of that. You guys know those games. But the other games that I have are financial investments, and I just don't feel comfortable telling someone, oh, go try this. What I am extremely comfortable saying is that get on Google and search your area for gaming stores. I live in a podunk town in Ohio, right? I've got at least five comic books / gaming stores within 10 miles of my house. So, depending on how podunk you are, will determine what you have in your city, but go check out your local comic book store because many comic book stores also carry, take my glasses off because of the glare, also carry board games. And a lot of them will let you play a game before you buy it. They'll have like a table set up somewhere in their store. They'll have open games that you can try. If they don't allow you to do that, they can actually probably help you pick out a game if you know what you like and what you don't like. And that's really easy. Like some people like strategy games like Risk. I'm not a huge fan of those. Some people like games like, you know, Settlers of Catan, where you have to get, you know, resources and land grabs. And I'm not a huge fan of that either. I like adventure games where like you just crazy stuff happens. I also would say that I really like cooperative games. So I do not like games that pitch you against another player. I like cooperative games where the other player and you team together against the game, if that makes sense. So Steve and I do not play games typically that are not cooperative because one of us is very competitive. I don't know who that would be. But if you go to your local game store, they can help you. And we have a game store here that I absolutely love, like where we'll go in and I'll ask, you know, hey, what's new in this genre? And they'll have recommendations. They'll ask what, you know, they'll really fine tune, you know, suggestions by talking to you about what you like and what you don't like. You know, people at gaming stores who work there love games and they want nothing more than for you to love a game. And you need to tap that resource versus hopping online and buying something from Amazon. Support a local business. And a lot of times if it's a larger game store, they will on the weekends have gaming events where, you know, it might be a D&D Adventurers League that you could join, or it could be like, hey, we're going to open, I don't know, Arkham Horror and have a day of playing. Come in. Take advantage of that stuff because that's how you'll find out what kind of games you like, whether you want to invest in a game, or maybe you'll meet other people that you could join a gaming group where you pool your resources and buy a game for the group versus you shelling out all the money. So number one suggestion, go to your local gaming stores. If you are in a podunk town, smaller than my podunk town, and let's say you just don't have a gaming store or a comic book store, or maybe you don't have a way to get there, right? At that point, certainly check to see if there's websites you can go to. But the other really great resources, there are a lot of board game review video vlogs and podcasts on YouTube. I will link some below that I enjoy watching, where they'll rank games, they'll play games, you know, they'll show themselves playing the games. They'll give you a wrap up. They'll tell you what they like about it, what they don't like about it, what they recommend. Lots of top 10 lists. Like if you like this type of game, here's your top 5 games. Really, really great resource. Highly recommend if you can't get to a local gaming store. So those would be my recommendations. I will tell you my favorite board game right now is Gloomhaven. It is a huge financial investment. It is a huge time investment. So it's not something that I'm just going to say, hey, go buy Gloomhaven. I don't know if you're going to like that type of game. So go to your local gaming store or hop online and watch people playing it and see if it's like, oh, that sounds kind of fun. Same thing with Dungeons and Dragons, guys. If you don't know what Dungeons and Dragons is and you have a preconceived notion, there are so many different people who stream Dungeons and Dragons games. And they're all different. I love them all for very different reasons. You know, there's high rollers. The really well-known one is Critical Role, which I love. Dungeon Dudes have their own stream. But that will give you ideas of like what gameplay is. So check out YouTube for suggestions or just to see like, oh, I think I might like that. Oh, I would not like that at all. There is a game that people just loved and it had to do with trains or something. I watched one YouTube podcast and I was like, I will never play that game. I have no interest in playing that game. That is why I like using those types of resources because it's much easier to find things that you like when you watch other people playing it and you kind of understand the mechanics. I'm also a huge living card game person. I love the Arkham Horror card game. But again, those are investments. So hit up YouTube, hit up your local gaming store. And I highly recommend if you can support a local business, do that before Amazon. Because Jeff Bezos needs to start, like, listen, dude, you have enough money to solve the Jackson water. I don't even want to call it a debacle. It's a tragedy. But you do nothing. What do? I don't see you with a Gates Foundation, right? Ugh, so I'm trying not to give Amazon my friggin' money. Drives me nuts. So get out there and play a game, you know? The other thing I'm kind of toying with is like, if anybody wants to try to do an online D&D game, we could try to put something together. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Knitters Unite. I'll find a world we can play in. I don't know. So put it in the comments. If that's something that you'd be down for, let me know and we can work on that. But I really truly believe that people who create and craft are like probably the best people to play games with as well. And the reason why I say that is that if you're a knitter, and I can't really speak to crochet, but I think it's the same family, and you make a mistake and you're going to spend hours figuring out how to fix that. You'll go online, see if other people have done it. You'll watch tutorials. You'll come back to it. You have a degree of like dedication and ingenuity and spirit that make the best people for role-playing games. They just do. And you can at me and fight me if you don't agree. But I truly think I have never met people on the crafting side of the hobby that have not been incredibly good game players. And whether it's a video game, maybe not so much, but board games and role-playing games, 100%. If you like to problem solve, if you like to work with other people for a united goal, cooperative games are the way to go. And I've just learned that like nothing ruins a friendship like drunk Monopoly. You know what I'm saying? Like, why do that to yourself? Play something that you can team up and figure things out with other people, not against other people. And I know that like, for me, if I want to play against another person, I'll hop on a video game and do a PvP server, like where it's player versus player. I don't really even like doing that. With the exception of like Unreal or Quake, I will snipe a motherfucker, like no problem. But if I'm going to dedicate multiple hours to playing a game, I'd rather play with someone than against someone. And that's just how I approach life, you guys. I think that in this day and age, we have got to work together and not against each other. And I think that is the beauty of like critical thinking and being open-minded, that you can problem solve with other people who may not have your belief structure or system or however you want to phrase that. But you can work with someone who is different than you and learn from them and realize that you don't have to agree to solve a problem. Like, you have to do the work. And I am really, really tired of divisiveness, of splitting people apart, us and them. You know, at the end of the day, we're all human. We all bleed the same. If you've got a problem, well, if you're watching this, you're not one of these people. But I truly don't understand the amount of fear and hatred that is out there. Like, why are you wasting your time on fear? What are you gaining from that? Like, because to me, hatred towards another person always stems from fear. Maybe not always, but the majority of time. Not understanding and a fear. And the reality is, you don't really need to understand someone to respect them. To respect their personal space, their personal choices. You don't have to understand them. And I guess I don't have respect for people who put negativity and hatred out there because they're fearful, because they don't understand. Dude, half of life is about not understanding. Get over it. You don't need to understand everything. It's not meant for you. If it's not hurting you, why do you care? And these arguments of how it's hurting children, oh, fuck all of you. All of you out there who are just stop. You know, there's this thing called happiness and joy, and it's spread through love, you know? I'm worn very thin on just the amount of idiocy and hatred. I don't get it anymore. It's just so stupid. It's probably the beer talking because I haven't drank in so long. So I guess at the end of this, you guys, take care of yourselves. Don't get COVID so that you can take care of one another. First and foremost, love yourself so that you can love one another. And again, let's just be positive. Let's put good stuff out there, you know? We're going into fall, my favorite season. I would prefer to go into fall with not dealing with drama. You know what I mean? Like, I don't... Sidebar. The other night, I'm sound asleep. You know what I got woken up by? If I ever get woken up by this again, I'm going to cut a bitch. Dudes, sound asleep. My husband's office is above our bedroom, and this video starts blasting. It is fucking Orange Man Oompa Loompa himself. Not even naming him. He's a fucking moron. Going on and on about how, oh, the FBI invading my home. Dude, first of all, the number one thing I never want to be woken up by is that stupid voice. It made me feel so violent. I can't even tell you. I don't want to have any of that going into the fall. I want to enjoy the fall. I want to enjoy fine weather, wearing knitted objects, and none of that. So Dark Brandon, 100% all the way, Steve. And yeah, so support craft, support local businesses, local artists. Enjoy a pumpkin beer, even though it's 82 degrees outside. I don't really care. I'm just happy to be feeling better, and I hope you're feeling well. I hope you come back. Yeah, I love you guys. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next podcast, and hopefully we'll have somebody make an appearance because both Harriet and Lebo decided they weren't up for this today, but that's okay. You know, you win some, you lose some. Toodles, damn it.